Calling my name, hollering out premeditated murder, but yo, who's to blame? Hidden wisdom, me, it be another day at the office, fool. Man, look, you know you can't get out, so step up on me, dude. My click is thick, you tricks the dick, but still you get no fucking thing. Trying to catch me slipping with no design, but I got my shine. All you buster boys on my nutsack better make me wait. Dead in the grave where you fall when I start to spray. I lay niggas up on they business, thinking they can test this beat. Running up, I give a weak ass nigga one chance, then I'm blasting.
Man, see, you know I'm full of fun. Smoking weed, chopping yayo. Reaching for my man, see, you know I'm full of fun.
Process of, getting put back together. It's mad craziness that I stay going through this shit. Had a lot of my shit damn near my fucking higher self and all that. I see I got triple threes on this motherfucker right here, just like I got threes right here. Got the pyramid, the spirit plane. The pyramid actually rebuilds. I don't want to go into too much detail right now. But back in the day, I was shown the pyramids were actually cordoned off. And the reason why you couldn't see exactly what was going on is because they were using it for interstellar travel. But where they would go, I don't want to fucking concede to that. Got this the other day. Got that. With that being said, man, I was being shown timelines in the future. It's fucking depressing. I want to do standalone videos where I talk more in depth about the incident with the soul swapping and all of that, and just the shit that I've seen, and now this shit with fucking wetbacks supposed to be open tomorrow. Trump 2024. Let me stop. Call like 866 or 877-347-2423. With that being said, it's crazy, the shit that I've seen, and that number at 323-778-4498. Now, with that being said, it's crazy, some of the shit that I've seen, what I wanted to talk about. There was something I wanted to talk about. This is where I gotta get my shit, kicking and all of that. I got to get myself rebuilt. It's a lot. It's a lot to do. It's a lot to undertake. But there's a lot that I've seen going on with this. I got to get my money right. That's another thing. I saw like with them people taking my ancestral money, me and Baron Samity's. I was able to get some of that. Without your ancestral money, that could fuck you up. That could kill you. With that being said, I've seen a lot, with this whole thing that's going on, and it's, very, very depressing. Mad depressing. Feeling like I'm stuck in different timelines, and I am. It's times where, things just, they don't look right. With that being said, there was something I wanted to talk about aside from taking a piss.
Sorry about that call dropped, but I swear I just saw him.
I'm gonna say this right
Well,
now.
I'm almost home now, baby, so I'm going to talk to you maybe tomorrow or the day after. Yeah?
All right, take care, Mama.
All right.
So this is what I want to
Bye.
talk about.
Bye.
All right. I was shown, I'm gonna say this right now. The other day, I was chilling in my apartment, and jump on my spirit team about, they got to get on their shit. With that being said, I was sitting in my apartment. As I was sitting in, I gotta get this shit. As I was sitting in my apartment, I was shown in the spirit plane. I kept hearing, I even did an article a long time ago. Of seeing a red-haired woman, but that's supposed to be somebody else. That's associated with Zendaya in that August 22nd, 2022 timeline, who sold me as a whatchamacallit, a sacrifice for He Cade, stole my mama's, ISIS, or something. My dad, I learned during this whole thing, is related to ISIS. Seen that petite shadow appear in place of mine. With that being said, the other day I was looking out the window and I saw a young woman passing by with red hair. And as when she passed by, she had etheric, tracks right behind her. Etheric whiffs of energy right behind her, and then she disappeared. So this was no ordinary person. It was a foretelling of what is to come. With that being said, I was shown that in my next incarnation, I'm supposed to be, it was originally the 3D. But here, and it's meant, to allow me to be fed on by other people, be placed in the roach realm. You get rebirthed in the roach realm if you all, fucked up your spirit, everybody, and all of that. So I got to avert that from happening. With that being said, I saw the young woman passing by, and as she was passing by, no. Okay, I was shown that I'm supposed to be reborn in Cajun country, and I'm supposed to have a great grandmother who was a MK Ultra victim, who was supposed to be very, very pretty, and I'm supposed to be born to some average-looking parents who are not all that great, looking. It was supposed to be, reborn to one of my, clients who I knew I was really good friends with, especially after August 22nd, 2022, all that shit dissipated. And everything was supposed to be kosher. And to make a long story short, that's why I got to do something about this. I keep hearing about how they're going to turn my father, into a demon and shit. Working with them people in that timeline, and it's hell. That's why I got to do something about them. I got to do something about this May the 1st, 2024 bullshit. With that being said, I was told this, due to the curse, this would become my day. All right, with that being said, from what I understand, how the fuck they over there, huh? The fuck they over there? I know the Iceman don't come in red firefighter colors, just like my brother was, in that timeline. He was a firefighter for the New Orleans Fire Department, and I was shown in that August 22nd, 2022 timeline. He was homeless. He had a curse like what I had. I wish I knew what I had on me. That was placed on him to make him drink. I saw it placed on my parents. I was shown early this morning. My desiccated childhood home. I heard Santa Muerte was invading it in the spirit plane. It's 125 hertz, 1185 hertz. 517 hertz revived spirit bodies. Then we do 571 hertz. 117 hertz combined with 800 hertz revive physical and spirit bodies. I don't know what's going on with that. I hope it's something bad. With that being said, you know, I saw it written on my soul consciousness. I saw it with my parents. They go LAPD. You know, you know, with something like this, you know, it's hard. It's kind of like how people find God. You have to become spiritual. It's just no way to console something like this. And I'm seeing the future timelines for me, and I don't like this shit. I don't like this shit at all. I use 125 hertz, by the way, to free people from, I was trying to help my parents in that August 22nd, 2022 timeline. Santa Muerte's hell room. With that being said, in the future, it's with that being said, I was shown the desiccated state of our home in Covington, Louisiana. All fucked up. You know, I used to have a lot of dreams about, you know, going back home. I remember when I was about 8 seeing my dad stuck in the roach room, so I know something really fucked up happened. And now I'm stuck in dystopian timelines where you got, look, I'm a MAGA hat wearer. I'm not a big fan of them wetbacks because of what they do, running my people out in South Central and all of that, but, you know, I know what they are, but we were elevating where I'm from. It was a lot better. You know, people were, you know, uniting with soul and interfacing with each other through soul. You know, it wasn't about, oh, you know, the physical vessel, and people were able to understand things on a deeper level. I see idiots here, you know, they'll talk deep, but they're not really deep. They don't understand nuances. They confine themselves in the box. Oh, if you like this, you got to be like that. And, you know, people transcended that in my old timeline. Even going back to the 50s and 60s, you know, they were capable of learning outside the box. These motherfuckers got what I call bricks for brains, you know. I don't want to say narrow-minded and in the stereotypical sense, like, oh, you're conservative, so no. I wear a MAGA hat, but I'm very liberal or very libertarian. You know, I just have a common sense approach about things, and I spiritually see things for what they are because I interface with the soul, and I don't like what I see coming. I don't like what's going on with my reality. You know, when I spoke with my brother over the phone, Carrie, who, you know, was telling me, oh, he worked for MacArthur Security. I don't remember that. And on top of that, he did something else. He worked for, he was telling me I used to work at a booth. I never worked at a booth. You know, I acted as, you know, straight up, you know, boots on the ground security, and, you know, I didn't like interfacing with people. I wore the blue contacts and weave at the time like this. Baron Sam, I didn't like how people reacted to me. You know, I would put them right in their fucking place. Don't let the physical exterior, how I look, throw you off. I'm still the same motherfucker that I've always been, as my soul is. Don't play around with that. You know, it's kind of like, you know, I knew somebody on the PCH, you know, who had white supremacist tendencies. Attracted to white men because in one of my past lives I was Swedish. But, and that's one of the strongest. They're from my incarnation. But, you know, even going back as a child, you know, I've always seen, it's probably because of that Swedish past life. I'm going to say something too. White people in Scandinavia are the only ones, and I believe maybe the Germans as well. That's why there was a lot of spirituality practice with Adolf Hitler, who from what I understand is related to a lot of black folks for Harriet Tubman. I don't know how true that is in the physical. And with that being said, I always knew the value of being black. And many of my incarnations, like I'm about to explain, you know, where I was under Baron Samedi, and I love being black. I love being in a black body. And there's nothing like the color of my skin. I like it. I like the contradiction, the juxtaposition of seeing black and white together. It's something beautiful about it. And though if you're a wetback, you ain't white, because the Moors raped the Spaniards, and they ruled the Spaniards for years, and they were niggers. True Lies explains that.
You know, Sicilians are great liars. Best in the world. I'm Sicilian. My father was the world heavyweight champion of Sicilian liars. From growing up with him, I learned the pantomime. There are 17 different things a guy can do when he lies to give himself away. Guy's got 17 pantomimes. Woman's got 20, guy's got 17. But if you know them, like you know your own face, they'd be lie detectors all to hell. Now, what we got here is a little game of show and tell. You don't want to show me nothing, but you tell me everything. I know you know where they are, so tell me. Before I do some damage, you won't walk away from.
Could I have one of those Chesterfields now?
Sure.
You got a match? Oh, wait, no, don't bother, I got one. You're Sicilian, huh?
Sicilian.
You know, I read a lot, especially about things, about history. I find that shit fascinating. Here's a fact, I don't know whether you know or not. Sicilians were spawned by niggers.
Come again?
No, it's a fact. Yeah. You see, Sicilians have black blood pumping through their hearts. And no, if you don't believe me, you can look it up. Hundreds and hundreds of years ago, you see, the Moors conquered Sicily. And the Moors are niggers. So you see, way back then, Sicilians were like wops from northern Italy. They all had blonde hair and blue eyes. But, well, then the Moors moved in there and, well, they changed the whole country. They did so much fucking with Sicilian women, huh? That they changed the whole bloodline forever. That's why blonde hair and blue eyes became black hair and dark skin. You know, it's absolutely amazing to me to think that to this day, hundreds of years later, that Sicilians still carry that nigger gene. Now this, I'm quoting history. It's written. It's a fact. It's written.
I love this guy.
No. Your ancestors are niggers. Hey. Yeah. And your great-great-great-great-grandmother fucked a nigger. Oh, yeah. And she had a half-nigger kid. Now, if that's a fact, tell me, am I lying? 'Cause you're part eggplant. Hey.
You're a cantaloupe. Beautiful. I haven't killed anybody since 1984. Go to this comedian's son's apartment, come back with something that tells me where that asshole went, so as I can wipe this egg off my face.
Che succede?
Mi disse che tutti i siciliani sono neri e non veggete su Mars.
When they get on the issue of being white, you know, a lot of them aspire to that. It's not because of colonialism. It's because they created a guy, Quetzalcoatl, who was a reptilian, human-eating dragon, would shapeshift into a white man. They saw Cortez, the conquering Spaniards, as their god, and that's because that's what they're under. They're ruled by Satan and Zenu in the spirit plane, but that's who they're under. That's what rules them. That's why they are the way they are. So it's got nothing to do with colonialism more than it's prostrating to their god, who happens to be, you know, comes from a hierarchy of white worshiping reptilians. And I believe in their culture, they worshipped white skin. You know, that was considered, you know, like MK Ultra victim Bryce Tiller was explaining, really, really high up. We ain't like that because the Egyptian gods who created Yoda, well, not Yoda Baal, but God, the demiurge, you know, set them up to be, you know, have skin of bronze and hair of wool, black. We come from black people. Everybody else does. And we're the rulers. We rule over that. With that being said, knowing all of this, even as a child, I always had this instinctive, intuitive thinking. I know how white people think. Oh, I wanted to mention this too. Because of Thor, Fenrir, Jargistrel. Yeah. I know how to do it very, very well, but my shit's all fucked up. Freya. They're the only ones who are born with runes. Other, you know, group of white folks, they don't have runes. You know, you just given, you know, your beads told to be under the demiurge, Alodumare, really, who's the blueprint for that, the Cometian gods, and that's it. You roll on. And that's with the Khazar Jews, that's stolen valor. We were the original Israelites, and that's a complex story for another time I want to break down. With that being said, with that being said, I never liked it because I knew how white people think. because of insecurity due to fear of white genetic annihilation. That's why I give a pass, unlike the wetbacks, to their racism. Because the thing with theirs is it's strategy, survival strategy. The thing with wetbacks is that's your God. That's who you are. That's your lineage, your bloodline. You are that way because it's innate. There's nothing you can do about that. Same thing with the Saint Name and Zenu. There's nothing you can do about that. With that being said, I always felt when I was around them, you have to put them in their place because they have this nature about them where, it's survival instinct. They feel like they got to be better. So you have to let them know, not only are you on equal footing, but I know my genetic heritage. You beneath me in a way. But everything goes back to the soul. In my dad's past life, he was born in Zacatecas, Mexico. Mine, Sweden. A lot of mine was the UK, at one point India. So you can't confine yourself to that, really. With that being said, another one was Vietnam. That wetback Mike Hernandez, who's harboring a lot of my ancestors from that right now. Now, with that being said, what I wanted to say, they had a crack on the PCH that it was just something about him that just ran me the wrong way. I learned white supremacy. One of these, she must be prostrate before white boy. No. I may be attracted to you because of a past life, but it don't mean you're going to run all over me. I'm better than you. I know who I am physically. Well, really, soul-wise. You're not going to act like I got to prostrate before you simply because you on an insecurity bullshit and you feel like I gotta, kowtow to you because you created in the material plane a white supremacy system. We ain't gonna do that. I know how you fucking think because I used to be one of you. So I'm not gonna play your bullshit. And that's exactly how I see shit. The Scandinavians are very, very, common sense people for a reason. Like black folks in a way. But not as much, different, but very open for a reason. With that being said, I saw in my next incarnation, apparently, if you're born under barren samity, you're not going to have the greatest of blessings, but you're going to do well, especially if you want to talk spiritual shit, or do, different things. I'll take that back, you can. In those timelines, right? Went to De La Salle, which was a proverbial fork in the road. I would have chose to come back black. I would have looked like Grace Jones. I actually saw her, and I kept thinking, year 2353. But from what I understand, and I want to talk about, it's the reverberation of karma. Karma is just balance. It has nothing to do with, good or bad deeds, nothing. In those timelines, I'm destined, and I heard about this shit right before, all of this shit of a young white man who comes from a very wealthy family, who does a lot of drugs. And he'll be given two Pat-line choices. And in all of them, he becomes a sacrifice, an incarnated God and a sacrifice, kind of like what I'm going through with, this whole Zendaya, the person who soul swapped me. I felt her soul consciousness last night. Ashley Terrell, Renee Wellinger. I'm trying to find out what her real name is. One time I saw her walking into, I saw her walking into the bathroom, an apparition of her, when I was staying at the first Assurve shelter on Figueroa. You know, I was looking at Blade Wars today, and I have a lot of fond memories of that area. People were super fucking cool. Yeah, I was going through, and before all of this shit transpired with this bullshit, it ain't the Trump I knew. It was cool. People were cool. I used to wear, like, I got fucked up because of this, to the attachments place, because it helped me out. Make a long story short, when I got that, motherfuckers had soul swapped me. Anyways, when I got that, I also had an ice shirt, and I had people offering me drink and all sorts of shit. Everybody was cool. It reminded me a little bit of the PCH. And that made the first 2024 Just Feels Dead happen. You know, people, it don't feel alive. With that being said, I was shown in that incarnation where I'm born into a wealthy family. I'm supposed to be born in 1995. And then the two paths I take is, the next one I become spiritual, avoid alcohol altogether, still end up in that situation. So it seems like in multiple timelines, I end up succumbing to that. You know, I heard of a timeline where people are super spiritual but poor, and they end up suffering an alien invasion. There's a universe called, I keep hearing about this woman named Mo's Millions or something, where she suffers, they get invaded by roaches. I don't feel like I'm in my timeline. It's more than August 22nd, 2022, you know? Like I said, I had people saying I smelled like burnt dead flesh, squiggly lines for timelines, now lights, which, you know, it's like, why is this old wetback bitch, this motherfucker? You're allowed to live, and this bitch, you know, I work out. I gotta work out then do some reps. But she's alive, and she's feeding. No, I don't like that shit. I keep hearing her higher self want to take two timelines away from me. Some timelines, and keep insisting on, I want her to stay dead. I don't want her to come back, and I felt that. And sitting up there saying over and over, you say, you're supposed to be dead, she's like her. I want slave. Fucking bean-ass motherfucker, bitch. Y'all motherfuckers were mentored by your demonic creator gods to be slaves. That's why a lot of them are great at doing tasks that don't require you to think, but to do. Mean your shit. When they call you a slave, just point to their creator gods and the purpose for their creation. They created them motherfuckers to, you know, they were entity attachments created by Satan. Another thing I noticed too about my timeline, hold on. It's right here. I remember that being, it's upside down. I originally made it upside up. I thought that was weird. All these little things adding up to the Mandela effect. With that being said, I was shown even in that Roach Realm timeline, like I say, originally it was meant for me to become a senator's daughter or something, and do very well materially, be a singer. I gotta fix this shit. From what I understand, at the beginning of this curse, I saw her riding on a Nazi ship protecting her family. I gotta fix this shit before the next incarnation. I gotta do something about this wetbag motherfucker before she ends up my Hecate or some shit like that. Trying to get me to hate black people by, like I said, I see the Illuminati in my timelines. I was shown, I think Prince Andrew has a boat where if they want to sacrifice somebody off of it, it has a ledge, but they'll raise it up so that you could, no matter where you run, you get thrown off of it. That's what happened to my brother Kristen here. And they keep trying to take control of my shit, consciousness and all that. Timelines. And I keep trying to fight that shit off. I saw him controlling my dad, acting as his highest self, which is a curse. Whenever somebody else's highest self, or somebody else is your highest self, or somebody else's highest self is yours. Like with me in that timeline. The Windsors, the Rothschilds, I gotta avert all of that shit. So anyways, let me go ahead and throw them cards. I stink. It's hot in here. It's fucking stuffy. I look like I stink. I admit that. Look like shit. Smell like shit. Because of that bitch being causing phantom smells that make me stink. I remember horrendously on the bus when I had to go to a 99-cent store to purchase some stuff. And I'm going to need some money today. Because my charger broke. I got to clean that fucking wall. It looked dirty. To be honest with you, something about, I'm attracted to hole-in-the-wall places. There's something spiritual. A lot of, I saw it in my old apartment, a Korean client. They call it dark energy. I call it primordial dark energy. Some people call it, the black goo, what circumvents Santa Muerte's hell realm is black energy. So with that being said, let's go ahead and look at these cards. We got the Seven of Wands in reverse. In the obstacle position. And I feel like you've been fighting a long battle that you've been waiting for to be over. And I feel like it could potentially get worse, but it isn't. That's going to get averted. With that being said, in the present position, you're in the Ace of Wands energy. That means you're in a place where you're going to get a lot. You're going to reap your blessings. Future position, the Tower, but I don't think it's anything adversarial. It means, from what I'm seeing, it means that You're going to get something that you're hoping to get. Something's going to be revealed that you're missing something. Three of Swords. Subconscious. You in a place where you're going to get, I feel like, a lot of help, and you don't see it coming. The Lover's card. Goals position. I kept seeing that as the outcome all last week. You're working with people that are furiously, industriously working with you towards something better. The Star. Advice card is to focus on, oh God, some bitch putting intrusive thoughts. Some telling me, from what I'm feeling, everything falls on you. But not everything. And you can always have people to help. Energy all around you. King of Pentacles. I feel like there's somebody that's taking a lot of shit away from you. And that's trying to disable you. And I feel like that's actually not going to work. That's the energy that's all around you. It's a lot of evil motherfucker. Like King of Wands, Fears, and your Hopes card. You're dealing with a lot of motherfuckers that want to block your success. And you're hoping that that should end soon. The outcome, the Page of Pentacles. And I see you getting to a place where you're going to be extravagantly successful, but you got to stay on the path. Don't take other people's karma. Like, I even had these evil motherfuckers come to me with a soul contract. I refused. Woke up with my third eye bleeding, and I still get pulled into this. But I'm not going to let that demiurge shit, keep me stuck. I feel like they do that to people with great spiritual powers. You're headed in a great direction. With that being said, if you want a more personalized tarot reading, please contact me at ravenbyterror22@yahoo.com. Use my third eye cat.